Returning to our Pleiadean home, Part 4. Question: what is our purpose in the higher frequency worlds where we consciously strive? Why are we needed there? Is our future life there is somehow connected with the experience we are currently obtaining on Earth? Is it possible to characterize our subsequent life as a distance curator of the current and other variants of humankind? Genetic prerequisites for the formation of our present physical bodies. The current version of humanity does not yet entirely belong to the human type of consciousness and equally has the opportunity to self-develop and evolve in at least some other development directions laid in the foundation of our genotype. All 8 civilizations represented in our DNA have the common denominator consciousness functioning algorithm, demonstrating the presence of either pure cosmic quality all love or all will. 2 Pleiadian civilizations from the planetary stellar systems of Alcyone and Pleione, qualities of all love plus all will, and their opposites all will plus all love. 2 Pleiadian civilizations from the planetary stellar systems of Electra and Alxia, all will plus all unity and their opposites, all unity plus all will. 2 Sirius civilizations, Sirius A and Sirius B, before her explosion, in the Canis Major, Greater Dog constellation. All love plus all unity and the reverse, all unity plus all love. 2 Andromedan civilizations, from the planetary stellar systems of Cassiopeia and Alpha Andromede, all will plus all integrity, and all will, all intellect plus all essence. The conscious fields of some other humanoid civilizations of our galaxy, for example, from the planetary systems of Cygnus, the civilization of Dicians, other Orion stars, Zetians, Zarianians, Arians, Regalians, Argons, Ars, Choks, Trents, Minutians, the Pleiades, Megapi, Asteroids, Atlas, Taygetians, Lyra, Vegans, Big Dipper, Aliot, Mehrak, Alpha Centauri, Junguns, Zalmans, Dragon, 6 reptilian humanoid civilizations also have a background influence on our development. Forms of the latter, due to their mimicry abilities, are represented in abundance. There are about 10 billion of them in our solar system. Of this, more than 5 billion live simultaneously in different types of space-time continuums of Earth. And at various times in our space-time continuum groups, there are approximately 1,600,000 to 2,100,000 of them present, mostly white and black races of reptilians, while their red race is represented in the worlds of Uranus and Saturn. They have moved to our star system more than 300,000–400,000 conventional years ago, discovering the damage in the crystal lattice that protected the physical terrestrial worlds from an aggressive invasion. This crystal lattice was formed hundreds of millions of conditional years ago by the Creator's builders, possibly also referred to as ancient megalithic builders. Some of the 8 above-mentioned civilizations were directly related to the formation of the DNA of our basic biological forms, the ancestors of the current chimpanzees and gorillas. Now, more than 60 space civilizations are actively working on the implementation of about 22 joint genetic programs. These are just the most large-scale and long-lasting genetic programs throughout the centuries and even millennia. Several alien groups among them kidnap people in order to introduce the necessary fragments of our DNA into their genomes in order to obtain the universal features that were formed during our development. 3 of the 6 Pleione planets, Pleiades, of the 3rd–4th dimensional manifestation range are inhabited by the Pleiadians of a very similar to us humanoid type, Ariadians, Alderons and Aldebarans. Among them, separate communities of Pleiadians are formed, which also exist in physical bioplasma of 3.75–4.25 dimensional wave range, and in light, but not yet plasma, bodies. On the other planets, habitable conditions begin only with the fourth dimension. They are inhabited by plasma and subtle plasma forms of self-consciousness, energy beings that form the supreme council of all Pleiadian civilizations, along with the rest in the experiment on the creation of Nu-Vu form, which is an individualized form of human type of consciousness manifested on our planet. The Arianians, representatives of Pleiadian DNA civilizations, have also participated. To understand the essence of our conception as a human race, you should have at least some idea of the evolutionary possibilities that the unique dimensional space-time structure of our planetary entity, Earth, possesses, which has formed more than 500,000 years ago as a result of a powerful cataclysm. If on the physical globes, up to the fourth dimension of other planets of our galaxy, hundreds of thousands of unique types of collective cosmic intelligences, of non-human life forms, animals, plants, minerals, microorganisms, viruses, and so on can coexist at the same time, then Gracely's sound space code of Earth has an incredible variety of such forms of life existing on it, more than 10 million. Considering that all these life forms constitute their unique hypervolume dimensionality structure, space-time continuum group, throughout various space-time continuums, it is possible to imagine an exorbitant variety of creative possibilities for realization of the most grandiose plans of genetic engineering. If you somehow realized your own uniqueness, you can understand the value that all people who have reached a human high development levels of such qualities as intellect and altruism, coupled with immunitantny responsibility, which is higher sense of responsibility, represent for other civilizations. All those of us whose level of consciousness is already suited to the requirements of the quantum transition, or inverse ray refocusing teleportation, have managed to synthesize in a natural way, in intolerable and absolutely unbearable for other beings, stable imaginative and thought-sensuous perceptions of positivism and resistance to the powerful influences of extremely destructive entities. This allowed us to cultivate in our mind very rare and extremely valuable properties of character that I would define as diplomatic superpowers and realizational skills of the social and interpersonal order. We have become accustomed to these of our qualities and skills and do not notice this unique gift of high spiritual stamina, which is absent or less developed in representatives of other civilizations. Question: what is our purpose in these realities? Transformed Earthlings after the quantum transition, which is implemented in different scenarios on Earth in different ways, quickly acquiring the superpowers peculiar to the Pleiadians, since our genome already has certain inactivated genes that initiate such development, engage in important diplomatic missions establishing relations with representatives of thousands of other civilizations, where exceptional stamina and balance, tolerance and adherence to principles, prudence and sobriety, deep sensuousness, profound comprehension, intelligence, situation analysis and introspection, devotion to the interests of own civilization, equivalent of patriotism, mercy and impartiality, as well as many other qualities are required, the value of which we are still not able to understand. Additionally, they need us for the aim of solving their demographic and genetic problems associated with extremely low activity of the reproductive system. There are races where women, and even men, form a ready-made zygote and bear the fetus in a special way, in an altered state of consciousness. Also, there are races which produce the offspring by artificial means and, while subsequently developing it in special centers, from the youngest age, determine the predisposition to some kind of creativity through its genome. Question: is our further life on the Pleiades and in other stellar systems somehow connected with the experience we currently gain? Earthlings constitute the experienced leaders of the most diverse divisions and professions, from scientific and culturally educational fields to the interstellar gravity flyer commanders. Our unique ability to establish logical chains and choose unconventional ways of realizing of certain tasks leads some civilizations to a state of a brain freeze and an absolute lack of understanding of consistency and validity of our acts that ultimately prove to be more effective than their choices in each specific case. In particular, this concerns the adoption of quick and spontaneous decisions. I don't know how to explain this phenomenon, but it's really true. The people of the Earth who managed independently and consciously devote their life to the path of servitude to all other people, having devoid themselves from the mechanisms of powerful influence on their consciousness from negative entities, low vibrational types of consciousness, become very valuable participants in various space programs aimed at universe's harmonization, as well as the spiritual and humanitarian assistance to less developed civilizations. Apparently, the secret to this phenomenon lies precisely in the nuances of the synthesis implemented in our consciousness on the basis of the unique genome cocktail belonging to various types of civilizations who has contributed to the experiment. At the same time, the same effect of uniqueness is also obtained in cases when the personality develops in the so-called the genius of evil. There are no more sophisticated tormentors and fanatics who enjoys the most terrible tortures of living beings than those in human creatures that are obtained from earthlings, who dedicate their lives to the realization of only their own selfish and consumeristic interests, and who consciously devoted themselves to slavish worship of personified evil, the Satan, the devil, the Lucifer, the Morax, etc. Consciousness of such people constitutes a side effect during its intrauterine development. The former ensure the synthesis of the quality all will within consciousness, while the latter represent the genes of the gorilla, which are foreign to earth life forms. They provide the synthesis of all voidness quality, which in turn almost completely suppresses the activity of genes responsible for important human qualities, such as all love, all wisdom, all unity, all integrity, and all essence. Representatives of reptilian races particularly appreciate, train, and protect such earthlings, especially the representatives of the red reptilian race. Having found and nourished up such a non-human individual on Earth to the desired level of cunningness, hatred, meanness, and aggressiveness, they take it to one of their bases in order to apply these destructive qualities on a much larger scale. Neither the Pleiadians, the Siriusians, nor any other similar civilizations developing along the path of spiritual harmonization for the eons of time are not capable to profoundly understand the motives of such meaningless destructive acts, and not knowing the roots of the generation of such evil, they sometimes are not able to quickly determine the methods of engagement without the use of their available radical measures, global annihilation of such forms. In this respect, spiritually developed earthlings are simply irreplaceable as psychologists and experienced institutionists. The experience of forced physical coexistence with similar predators in human form, obtained in a number of parallel Earth incarnations on intuitive levels, allows them to quickly unravel the mental reasons and strategic objectives of the displayed aggression, as well as to anticipate possible options for the aggressor's subsequent actions, which facilitates to the prompt prevention of their implementation without resorting to violence and destruction. It is important to note that bioplasma forms have the ability of scanning of various parallel scenarios of the present, past, or future. This is carried out in a special altered state of consciousness accessible only to bioplasma forms. During such scans, their consciousness is able to detect the smallest details of and kind of remotely perceive our lives. Nevertheless, this doesn't provide them with the complete benefit of our lives, because without naturally existing on Earth in a human form, it is impossible to implement the same synthesis processes that we undergo here and embed them within own self-consciousness in the form of a first-hand experience. Thus, our higher quality interpretations, who are bioplasma forms, are not able to profoundly cover the underlying causes of many acts and choices implemented by the mentioned non-humans. Therefore, our earthly mentality will always be slightly different from the bioplasma types of consciousness. Obtaining of the experience similar to ours requires direct and consistent endurance throughout the entire array of various stages of its unique synthesis on Earth. The scanning ability of bioplasma forms can be compared with visiting of a unique earthly library with the aim of deriving of specific information, which pertains to a spectrum of moral, scientific, historical, and other issues they are trying to cognize during their development. Just to keep in mind that it's we, but who exist in our bioplasma form interpretations that are able to scan the lives of us here on Earth. They are not some kinds of distant representatives of other cosmic civilizations. Question: is it possible to characterize current us curators over the development of other people? Yes, this is exactly how we should perceive the primary task of our incarnation on Earth, and even more so after transformation into bioplasma existential forms. Of course, within the collective human consciousness, there are developing billions of side effects. Creatures very similar to humans, but with an absolutely and irreparably deformed consciousness structure. However, along them, there exist billions of people whose DNA has, even if poorly developed, the evolutionary potential of the life creativity inherent to the highly developed Pleiadean, Sirius, and Andromedan civilizations. We are here on Earth act as physical communication channels for those people who are not themselves able to independently accept and evaluate the ideological ideas generated by us as bioplasma curators. Hence, the essence of our spiritual servitude is to offer them this evolutionary outlook through the new universal knowledge, ideology, and commit to the utmost efforts designed for its profound understanding. In parallel with this, we also implement our evolutionary objective by consistently and purposefully attuning the contents of our own consciousness to the degree of evolutionary maturity of certain qualitative parameters which maximally correspond to the achievement of our global objective.